So, do you remember what is Ignite with Sandy? Okay, Ignite with Sandy. Showtime. Yes. What is Ignite with Sandy? For those of you who don't know, this is a special weekly webinar that I do on the amazing platform called Celestia. And our objective is to fire up those neurons so that you can be a better version of yourself. And how do you do that? You do that by listening in to all the experts that we bring to you. You also have all these fabulous opportunities to market yourself. We do PR, we do a whole lot of things. But my webinar is to reach out to women who are doing amazing things in their life. They are the ladies who are blazing a trail, and they are from all over the world. That's the beauty of Celestia. We connect with women from all over the world. And today, I have a guest who is from the United States. So, her name is Jackie, and I'm going to ask Jackie to introduce herself because I always put my guest on the spot. So, Jackie, you're on the spot. Tell us about you.
Hello, so nice to see you, Sandy. Again, I'm so excited. And you're in Dubai, and I know
Yep.
that your followers and readers are from all over the world. So I am honored always to be on your platform because I love Celestia magazine. So I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm also a holistic alternative physical therapist. I'm an author, I'm a professional speaker, I'm a women's health expert, and my mission is just to decrease pain and suffering. So that's me. And I wanted to ask you, for the people who don't know you, Celestia Magazine, can you tell us a little bit about who created it, how it was created, and why?
Okay, so there's this lovely lady called Sonia Singh. And she's one of those ladies who likes to stay in the background, but she's the master puppeteer doing all of that, organizing this, organizing that, and projecting women from different walks of life. So the magazine is about work-life balance. So we look at women who are entrepreneurs. We look at women who are in the corporate sector. We look at women who are transitioning from one job to the other, or maybe just stepping into the workforce. So all our ladies are there to learn from each other and to make sure that we have a sort of a holistic atmosphere where we feel safe enough and comfortable enough to say what we want. But more important, Celestia is also a platform that is there to market you. So you're starting out, you require some kind of a well thought out and constructed PR plan. We can do that for you. So if you want a presence, for example, in the UK and you're sitting in the US, so I'm sitting here in Dubai, Celestia would be the platform that could take you to the UK or bring you to the UAE. Or in your case, you could be wanting more exposure in another part. So we work with you to understand what you do and to make sure that we deliver a package that takes you to where you want to go.
I love it. And when I was first asked to speak about 3 years ago, because I had met Sonia on Clubhouse actually, and I fell in love with her. And she came into one of my rooms that I was doing with my co host, Tina Hong. And I fell in love with your mission. And so that's when we started to work together. So I just wanted to let everybody know in the United States a little bit about Celestia Magazine, and they can follow you on Instagram, they can follow you on Facebook and on LinkedIn, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Jackie, I'm a little curious. You have two books that they're in the background. What are those about?
So the first book I wrote was The Power of Self-Care, Self-Love. I noticed that during my treatments of my patients, I've been a physical therapist now for about 17 years. And I noticed that when they felt better about themselves, when they started to put some care and love into themselves, that was the change maker, right? And I
Okay.
learned it through myself first, through my own
Okay.
pain and suffering in my life. So I decided to write a book, and it took me 10 years to write it.
Wow.
Because I wrote it in 4 years, and my global editor said, "Oh, that's a nice book, but I would never buy it." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Well, you're
Okay.
not in it." And I was like, "No," I was horrified. I did not want to be in it. And she says, "Well, in order for a book about health and about women and care and love, you have to have a little bit about yourself because people are interested in that." So it took me another several years to finish it. So during COVID 2020, I actually finished it. And then last year, I did the journal workbook, the Power of Self Care, Self Love Journal workbook. They're both on Amazon.
Okay.
And everybody loves them. So thank you so much for asking me about it.
Yeah, and I have to say this, it's an observation that you really use that COVID time very well.
I did. I did. So I think a lot of people were able to step back and question what they were doing in their lives, right? Were we evolving? Were we stagnant? Were we not moving and changing and creating? And that's what I love about Celestia Magazine. You guys are always focused on what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Because we're always changing. And that's
Yes.
the beauty of our lives. We cannot remain just in this one moment. And women are amazing at that because we are little girls, then we go to school, then possibly get married, go to college, maybe not, work, and then our bodies start to evolve, maybe have children, grandchildren. So we're always evolving, but our creativity is really important because whatever we do in the world, it should benefit others. So I'm big on leading with love and being of service.
Okay. So our topic today is cortisol and women's health.
Mhm.
So for the uninitiated, could you just tell us a little bit about cortisol?
So, cortisol is actually made in the adrenal glands. And if you put your hands back here on the top part of your back, those are your kidneys. And the adrenal glands are little French berets just sitting on the adrenal glands, a little French berets. And those
Okay.
create cortisol. And when we are in fight, flight, freeze response, uh,
Okay.
adrenaline pours in and signals cortisol to be produced. But what's really fascinating, and I have that in my book as well, there's a connection between the adrenal glands right here and the brain. So it's called the hypothalamus and the pituitary
Okay.
gland. Some people call it the third eye, which is very interesting. And that, if any of you want to look it up, it's called HPA axis, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And it has to do with a big word that I learned years ago. This word is called neuroendocrine system. Neuro is
Okay.
brain, endocrine is just the glands that are being the hormones and chemicals that are being produced, but we always thought that they're separate. So
Okay.
wherever we're thinking, whatever we are experiencing emotionally, our feelings, for example, they're sending messages to our bodies, to our gut, specifically our microbiome. And
Okay.
so cortisol, like you'll see when you get a phone call, you'll
Mhm.
notice your pants fit really good. But when you get an emergency phone call and you have to run to an emergency room or just do something, at the end of the day, your pants will be super tight because
Yes.
your capillaries expand in your gut and your belly, and they pour cortisol into your gut. And that's
Okay.
Yes, and that's when you're going to have to like the stomach pains, the stomach cramps. That's the actual cortisol going into your gut. And it's fascinating because at that moment we have to go right into an action, which is calming ourselves down. Just take slow deep breath in through the nose and then exhale.
Okay, so Jackie, once this cortisol hits the different parts of the body, all the different organs, as you said, the digestive system, the brain, the heart, everything is traveling all over, doing its little job.
Mhm.
Okay, how long does it take for, unless of course there are multiple reasons why your cortisol is being spiked,
Yeah.
how long does it take for the body to come back to its normal rhythm where the cortisol levels have gone down and we are like in the rhythm of things? Is there any time frame for that?
That's a great question, because those of us who do yoga, who move our bodies, who dance, who meditate, and who eat a little better, like more plant based foods, maybe, that we are the people who will decrease the cortisol faster. But and so every woman is different, every man is different as well. But
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about the causes of increased cortisol. One of the causes, which a lot of people don't know about, is decreased vitamin D. So you
Okay.
can call your doctor, get some blood work done, and just say, hey, I want to know. I want a full blood work done. I want to know what my levels of vitamin D are. I want to know everything, right? And get a copy of it and save it in your house. Put it in a file. That way, the next time you can do blood work, you'll be able to compare it. But decreased levels of vitamin C cause an overproduction of cortisol. Sleep loss will also cause an increased cortisol. High stress and remaining in stress levels, and also sugar intake will actually spike cortisol levels. There's a lot of other reasons, but if you stay in stress, in high levels of cortisol, you actually can create a syndrome called Cushing syndrome. And
Okay. Yes, I've heard about that, but I don't know much about it.
so Cushing syndrome is because we've been stressed all of our lives and since we were children. And so, lots of traumatic events have happened. And so some of the signs will be like a hump right here,
Okay.
pretty big hump between the shoulders, pink and purple stretch marks, especially on the belly. And I
Okay.
had some notes, and some medicines will actually cause Cushing syndrome, which is the medicines that are using
Okay.
glucocorticoids. So yeah, so that's just an example. So that's a great question, though. How long can we decrease it? People sometimes get used to being stressed. They don't
Yeah.
they don't even, when they go on vacation, they are still moving and shaking because they feel the body has adapted to that high level of cortisol levels, and the body thinks it's okay. That's why it's very important to get the blood work done, find out your vitamin D levels, find out how much cortisol you have in your body, and really, because that also can lead to type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
That's really important to know. So
All
yeah.
right. So, what happens, for example, to women's digestive system? Because what I've noticed is
Mhm.
that sometimes ladies, they either are very bloated,
Yeah.
or they run to the toilet a lot, and they can't figure out what's happening because they think, my food's okay. I don't
Mhm.
know why this is happening. So
Yeah.
could it be because they're under a tremendous amount of stress and they don't realize it?
Yes, absolutely. We don't realize it. We don't even know because you know what will tell you? I ask my patients every time I see them, have you had a bowel movement every single day the size of a banana? And I didn't know this, but this was also following the 3,000-year-old Ayurvedic medicine.
Okay.
You have to have an elimination a minimum of once a day. Unfortunately, here in the United States and parts of the UK, we don't even have a bowel movement once a day because our level of processed food is so high. We're just
Yes.
eating on the go. So to answer your question, how do we know it's happening? We really don't know it's happening. It just happens. But if we can just sit still for even just 30 seconds and notice, oh my gosh, like you said, my stomach is a little bloated. I've been eating well, but I haven't had an elimination. When you do
Hmm.
not eliminate, you are literally destroying the lining of your 25 to 27 feet of intestine. You're destroying the lining, and you're going to lead possibly to maybe diverticulosis. So, all of these things can be prevented if we decrease stress levels, because when we're
Okay.
not having a bowel movement, it is directly linked to anxiety. And now they're saying depression just by
Oh.
having a bowel movement, just that one thing. And then the opposite is diarrhea, which we call
Hmm.
irritable bowel syndrome, which can be easily caused by eating quickly. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got 10 minutes to have my lunch. Eating,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that causes irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut. again causing anxiety and possibly depression. So it's all about how we slow things down. So the more we slow things down, that's an easy way to decrease the cortisol levels. But I wanted to answer that other question. What are the signs of increased cortisol in the body? Weight
Yes.
gain, headaches, irritability, because increased cortisol levels will decrease the flow of blood and oxygen to your stomach. So remember,
Okay.
like, what's happening? Why is my stomach doing this? Because there's no blood flow going to the stomach, and blood carries oxygen and nutrition. So again, what's the easy thing to do? Inhale, exhale, and just slow things down. If you can't get it done right now, get it done later. But right now, get in touch with your inner wisdom. What is it that your body's telling you? Exactly. We need to just slow down. So that's why I get up super early in the morning and I don't look at my phone. I don't look at my computer for 1 hour. I either meditate, go slowly for the walk. Oh, in the morning time, I didn't know this until last year. Cortisol is the highest in the morning. So that's
But
why.
yes, but how is that possible? Because you're like rested and you're sleeping and sort of
Exactly.
switched off from everything. So
That's
how is it so high?
That's a great question. I'm thinking because we're having dreams at night, maybe we're stressing because we're having dreams at night. But sometimes we will feel that the cortisol is the highest in the morning. So that's why they recommend to move in the morning. So if you don't like to
Okay.
go to the gym or anything like that, just go outdoors and just go for a little walk. My trick is I have my walking clothes at the end of my bed and I put them on. I don't have a discussion with myself whether I want to or not. I just do it. And I can do it slowly or I can walk rapidly. It just depends. Every day, you have to be loving and kind to yourself when you're moving
Yes.
your body.
That's true. That's very true. But talking about the rush of cortisol or adrenaline rush, so I like skydiving. And the
Oh,
first time,
I love that. Yes.
so the first time I did it, of course, I'd had my breakfast and everything, but I had absolutely no clue how much of energy would be sucked up, and the rush of adrenaline, what would be the after effects after about half an hour.
Well,
I was ravenous. I was eating the whole day, and all I did was eat and sleep, eat and sleep, eat and sleep
well,
because of that rush.
I love it. Well, there's a big, big difference. We're talking about vibrational frequency. So there is a book called Power versus Force. I actually
Oh,
have it here because I want to share it with your readers. Power versus Force. This is by Dr. David Hawkins. It really changed my life. So
okay,
he created a map of consciousness. The lower
okay,
vibrational frequencies are guilt,
okay,
shame, then we go higher up, fear, anger, frustration, things like that. And then we go into higher vibrational frequencies, which are peace, joy, love, oneness, godlike. Okay. When you are jumping out of a plane and skydiving, you're in high vibrational frequencies. So you're at
okay,
a level that we call truth. The lower vibrational frequencies are false. The body does not recognize it. When you're in false vibrational frequencies, lower vibrational frequencies, negative vibrational frequencies, there's many names for it. Your gut is not happy because it's screaming at you. It's like you shouldn't be doing this, is what your body's telling you. But when you're
okay,
skydiving, then you're at the highest level of love and joy, high vibrational frequencies. The cortisol that you're creating is not going to affect you negatively
okay.
because you're
So,
in joy. And that's the whole point of living. That's why I love you, Sandy, because we all need to be skydiving. We all need to be doing whatever we want to create our own joy. That's what I learned about
yeah.
my mother and grandmother. My grandmother and my mother always said, you must create your own joy because no one else is going to create it for you.
Yes, and that's what I always say, that joy or any other loving, positive emotion is an inside job.
Exactly.
Okay, nobody can create that for us. Okay, maybe if you were in a loving relationship, the presence of that person would make you feel happy.
right?
Okay.
But what's one of the secrets to attracting a loving relationship? Loving ourselves.
Yes.
Once we do that, once we love ourselves, oh, I love you so much, Jackie. Thank you so much for doing such hard work. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm attracting you. I'm
Yes.
attracting other people because I am working at a high vibrational frequency of love. So now I attract loving people.
Yes. So I think what you're saying is that if we want to make changes, yes, it's very important to understand what we are actually doing to our bodies when we are allowing our cortisol levels to remain high.
Exactly. And I was looking it up just to refresh my memory because I'm not a nutritionist, but I do love to recommend things that will decrease the cortisol, right? And so to support adrenal health, dark chocolate.
Woo!
Now, we want to get the high cacao. We want to get
Yeah.
over 72% of cacao. So you don't want to get the milk chocolate. You want to get dark chocolate if you can. And so that is really, really great to decrease your cortisol levels. Then we have extra virgin olive oil, green or black tea, onions, garlic, fermented foods, mushrooms, leafy green vegetables, fatty fish. And so you can just research or Google it. A lot of these are already on the internet. But just, before you go to the grocery store, please have that list in hand
Yes,
because
I
it's
think that's important because when you go to the grocery store, you get distracted. And you go, oh, yeah, I'll just pick this up or I'll pick that up. And many of the times, because we are busy, we look for shortcuts. Oh, let's pick up this prepared stuff or let's do this because it will take a short period of time. But I think the way we prepare our food, what we select, and as you very rightly said, what kind of oils do we use, what kind of flavorings we use, that is also very important if you're going to have number one a meal that you enjoy, because if you're enjoying it, then as you said, you feel there, it's a feel good feeling, and so you're actually relaxing yourself. Is that correct? So what I'm hearing from you is that if you are selective in the foods you eat and you eat them at the right time, then it becomes an easy thing for you to be able to control the cortisol levels. So, as Jackie was mentioning before, it's a combination of things. So, it's what you eat, what you feel, how you're making yourself more aware of your surroundings and not allowing the surroundings to dictate how you feel. Because at the end of the day, as she very rightly mentioned, it's an inside job. So when you make a decision to say, okay, I'm not going to get stressed out or I'm not going to get upset because somebody triggers something negative in me or makes me feel low or angry or frustrated. Because remember, we all have our own way of doing things and we have our own control system. And that's what Jackie was talking about, is that we're all responsible for ourselves. And she's been mentioning ways. So I'm going to ask Jackie now, what are the simple ways you talked about? First, getting up and spending time with yourself in the morning, and then gradually starting the day. So let's come to the time, Jackie, when we are looking at maybe middle of the day when there's a lot of stuff going around and we've got deadlines and we have commitments and we've got this and we've that, and our stress levels goes a little higher and higher and higher. So when we are coming into that high level, what are the ways that we can say, okay, how can we just take a step back and say, let's prioritize? I don't have to please everybody all the time. I can take my time to respond. Do you think that is a good way of keeping ourselves in a lower cortisol level?
yes, absolutely. And I'm coming in and out, so I hope, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
no, it's okay. There, you're fine.
Okay, so I wanted to just say dancing. So even if you don't dance, just put some music on. That literally will decrease your cortisol levels and create joy and happiness. That's a big one for me. You can do
Okay.
it while you're cooking. While you're cooking is really important. Also, I wanted to recommend when there's a trigger, so there's someone that can create a stress on you, like your spouses, friends, partners, children, the news, anything like that. Just observe how you're reacting to it. Just observe, just sit back and observe. Oh, I'm getting very angry, I'm getting sad, I'm getting depressed. Just observe that and feel it. Don't push away what you're feeling and your
Okay.
thoughts. You need to think the thoughts and feel the emotions. That way they can leave your body. So all the yoga and meditation, extremely important. The walking, the dancing, the eating well, but just also observing what is happening at this moment right now with me. Oh, I'm very upset, and I'm going to honor that, because
Okay.
there's a lot of people that can trigger us,
Yes, quite true. And especially when
and
you're
we
out there working or you're running a business and you've got deadlines to meet and suppliers are not responding to you, or your boss is saying something to you, and there's so many external factors that are not within your control, but you sort of take it on yourself and get stressed out.
exactly. So we are
Yeah.
creating our own pain and suffering.
Yes,
We are creating because
exactly.
there's always going to be mean people. There's always going to be people talking about us. There's always, we can't change that, but we can change the response to that in a loving way. And for ourselves, we need to have a little more compassion for ourselves. It's like, wow, this person literally just said the worst thing to me, but it's not about me. It's about their own personal issues, their
Exactly.
difficult. And so we switch it to compassion. Like, sometimes mother-in-laws can be very, very difficult. And my mother taught me, she said, pray for your mother-in-law because she's having difficulties letting go of her son, or you coming in and being in control. And so I did. I would pray for her more, have more compassion, and I wouldn't put up with a lot of the things she said to me, because there's also, a barrier. You have to really protect yourselves and be honest too. You have to be honest with the person with kindness. But yeah, don't take it personally. What's that amazing book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz? Ooh, I wish I had read that book when my kids were teenagers. I raised three kids. If I had read that book when they were all in high school, that would have been awesome. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Do your best. And speak the truth with kindness.
Okay, so Jackie, I'm now going to focus a little bit about the young ones. So, for all the mothers who are listening to us today or later on, we put a lot of pressure on our children for academic excellence. You have to get this grade, your grades are poor, you're not focusing, your mind is somewhere else, you're such a disappointment, when are you going to change? And then some people say, well, perhaps your child needs extra classes. And so this little person, this young person, is put under so much pressure, and there's so much negative feedback coming from the people that he or she is looking up to, the people, the parents, and then the teachers come into the picture as well. So what advice would you give to parents, to mothers, about their kids who, not every kid is going to be a scholar or somebody with a GPA of 5 or whatever, or 4 or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, and whatever. So number one, a lot of times it's like, oh, so and so's child is doing better, but mine isn't. Why don't you be like so and so? Why aren't you doing this? There's so
Yeah.
much pressure. So,
Well,
what advice would you give to mothers about how they should be interacting with their teenagers?
number one is my first advice is remember your children will remember everything that you've done. So they will remember most of the negative things. They won't remember a lot of the loving, kind things. So do more loving, kind things for your children. Number one, because they're going to only look at us. We remember mostly only the
Yes,
bad that we had
quite
when we were
true.
little kids. And number two, we are here in 2023 to end the cycle of basically just hurting our kids,
Yes.
because our mothers did it, our grandmothers did it to us. It's generational. Expecting more, expecting better, expecting A plus, not even A. That's what
Yes.
we learned from our parents. And it's cultural as well. It depends on what country you're from. I was born in Colombia. In Colombia, everyone has a doctorate in something or a master's. It doesn't matter what you, but for me, I love that my child is artistic. I love that my child wants to fix things. I love that my child likes the computer. I love that my child likes to dance. So we have to really break the cycle as matriarchs, as mothers. We have to honor our position in our society. We are divine and sacred. We come from love. And
Yes.
so that is what we have to give our children, is love and freedom. Our children are not ours. They come through us, right? I don't forget the quote, but it's God. God owns them, not us. We're just here to provide food, shelter, and lots of love and support. The rest is God. We don't own them. So those are the two things. And have fun with your kids,
Yes.
because after the age of 12, they don't want anything to do with you. But they have to, because they can't drive. And after the age of 18, especially here in the United States, they really could care less what you say. So you have a small window of opportunity as a mother to love and support and literally ignite creativity in your children in just like the first couple of years. Especially, they're saying now the first 3 to 5 years of life are the most important. And that's when we're not playing with our kids enough. We're not inviting children. As mothers, we should have our house filled with children at least 2 or 3 times a week. Invite the whole school over. We would do that for birthday parties. We're like, oh, let's invite 5 or 6 kids for the birthday party. I'm like, nope, invite all 30 of them. Just have them outside, have a birthday cake, have some games, invite the family. So children need to see that we are part of a community, but the
Yes.
mothers have to initiate that. The
Yes.
mothers, we are the matriarchs. We are the keepers. So we are the men, if there are men, right? But different partners can be female as well, can be the head. And then the woman, the mother, is the heart of the family. And so we try to be perfect, and we can't be perfect. So it's good to be imperfect, especially in front of our children.
Yeah, we can't be perfect all the time because that becomes stressful for us and our cortisol level will go up. Okay, so Jackie, what else I wanted to ask you is like uh, in most homes, even if the wife is a businesswoman or a working person, generally she takes care of the what's being cooked. Whether she's doing the cooking herself or not, is generally she is a little more involved, right?
Right.
So how can a woman, a wife, in this case, who is a working woman who already has her own stresses and her own targets and whatever else to meet, how can she come to a happy medium with her husband where they work more as a team? As
Yeah.
opposed to like, no, this is, I'm not going to do this, or I you need to do this, or whatever it is. Because when we come home, it's a place to relax, it's a place
Yes.
to unwind. But
Yeah.
in many cases it doesn't happen because there's always a stress level between the partners.
I
So what,
agree.
right? So what could the lady do about it? I mean, since our audience, the target audience is mainly women, what is it that we could do to just make ourselves more relaxed? And in doing that, we actually create an atmosphere of more relaxed atmosphere, I would say, in
Yeah.
which the husband's level of stress also could come down.
Yes. So expressing your needs to your partner is extremely important. So, for example, taking out the garbage, right? The partner will forget sometimes. And so when they do take the garbage out, you have to say, or it would be nice for you to say, I feel really loved because you take the garbage out. And I thank you for that, because we're always saying, oh my gosh, you didn't take the garbage out. I can't believe you did that again. So think about that. That other book, The Five Love Languages. Oh my God.
Okay.
That was amazing. That book, The Five Love Languages. So for me, my love language is still of service. Anytime my husband makes coffee for me or makes dinner, I'm just so grateful, because I've been busy all day and I didn't plan my food, which is really one of the secrets to a calm house, is making sure that you already have dinner planned already the day before. Get that crock pot out or get the frozen dinner that you made fresh in the freezer, take it out and start defrosting it. So yeah, planning ahead. But yeah, as express your feelings with love and kindness to your partner. And this really hurt me when you forgot to take the garbage out. It really hurt me when you yell at me in front of the kids, because the children will learn by your actions how to treat their wives. So that was a big conversation I had with my husband many times when he would yell at me in front of the kids. So I asked him, I said, would you mind teaching them how to say you're sorry? So we would go back in, this is when the kids were little, and he would say he was sorry in front of the children. And I would do the same thing, because we're not perfect. So we yell at each other. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, for the healing aspect, they learned to say they were sorry. And that was just fundamental. So that's my recommendation for the moms, to keep the house peaceful. And may I share just a very, very quick little story? This is sort of like a pretend story, I think, but it might be true. So there was two men, and they lived by each other. And one man kept on looking at the neighbor every day. And the neighbor, he would lean over and touch the tree when he would come home from work, get out of his car and touch the tree. And then he would go into the house. He did this every day. So after like a month, the neighbor said, hey, buddy, I see you touching the tree. What's the deal with that? He says, oh, well, I lean over to the tree to give the tree all of my problems, all my issues at work, because my house is peaceful and calm. And if I enter with all these things with me, then it's not good. I'm going to change everything in the house, the energy. And so, and then he said, and in the morning time, you'll see me lean over to the table and I take all those problems and issues back. And usually they're not as heavy or as not as many. So you are absolutely right, Sandi. The home is a peaceful, loving place, and we have to try to make it as much. It's our beautiful sanctuary, but we as women are the ones who create it.
Quite true, quite true. So, coming back to our topic, which is cortisol and women's health, can you just give us a couple of pointers when it comes to attitude, when it comes to activity, and when it comes to food?
Yeah.
What should we be doing? What should we be observing? What should we eliminate? What should we add to make life better for us and keep our cortisol levels down? And I think when the woman does that, if she's part of a family, it has a ripple effect.
Well, those are the four things I'm going to give you are in my book, The Power
Okay,
of Self-Love. So it's an Indian proverb. You are a house with four rooms:
okay,
physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And they spell out the acronym PIES, because we all love to eat a pie. So
okay,
so move your body in the morning. It doesn't matter how you do it, whether you dance, whether you walk, but just move your body for 5 minutes. It would be nice if you did it for more, but just move your body. Intellectual, read something inspiring. So the physical is going to help to decrease the cortisol. Intellectual is going to inspire you. That also takes out the cortisol, because inspiration is at high level of vibration. And
okay,
then emotional, write down what it is that you're feeling. If you're not in contact with your emotions, your emotions are going to get you, and they're going to get you in the gut, and then eventually you're going to hit your brain. So you're going to get anxious, you're going to get depressed, because you're not writing things down. Writing things down is an energetic way to get stuff out of your body. So that's the emotional. And the fourth room is the spiritual room. If you do believe in a higher being, or your higher self, if you feel that you believe in God or divine loving light and so on, love, then if you can, just spend some time really feeling that energy, because we are love. This is an energy system. We are energy beings. That's why when you asked me to introduce myself, I said, I am a spiritual being Having a Human Experience. That's by Pierre Desjardins. Pierre Desjardins.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's my recommendations because
All
we
right, great. So, Jackie, so I'm going to do a recap because we're bringing this to a close now, right? So, from what I have heard from you to start with, is this: in order for us to know our cortisol levels and what is happening, you recommend that we do a blood profile to see what our vitamin D, etc., are like. So then we have an idea whether it's high or low, and then we get to know what should we do to bring it up. So this
also,
applies to all members in the family. Is that correct?
yes, but also when you did do the blood work, go to a specialist in hormones. That's why I'm
Yes.
doing the retreat. I'm doing a retreat in New Orleans
Okay.
Saturday, August 19th. I'm doing the retreat specifically because I didn't know that when your cortisol levels rise, your estrogen level drops. And that's what happens when we are around menopause, which the word is perimenopause, or another term is before menopause, which can start as early as age 35. That's pretty
Okay.
early. So that's when the estrogen levels start to fluctuate more. Cortisol goes up, estrogen goes down. So we're going to talk about it. I'm actually going to have a professional healthcare panel discussing different holistic alternative methods. We're going to be talking about Ayurveda. We're going to be talking about plant medicine, herbal medicine, bioidentical hormones, functional medicine, all that, because we're not discussing it enough. There's a woman called Dr. Lisa Mosconi. Dr. Lisa Mosconi is one of the very few female scientists that are studying the brain and what's happening in its connection to dementia and Alzheimer's and other issues. So that's why we had this conversation today, because
Yes.
we have to be able to decrease the cortisol so we can bring those estrogen levels back up, because we're living longer, Sandy.
Yes.
And
Quite true.
we got to live longer, but we have to have a good brain to do that. I
The
mean,
quality of life.
right.
I agree with that. And as Celestia is a magazine for women, obviously it's the women in the household that generally make the decisions about health and about food, and they are actually very powerful in even creating an atmosphere which is relaxed, because they sort of trigger that by what they do. So I think women who are listening to this, you have heard a lot about the fantastic ways in which you can actually bring down your cortisol levels. And according to Jackie, it's not that difficult, because when you start your morning, if you just do very simple things, you can actually start your day much better, more energized. Your bowel movements will be better. You will be thinking clearly, and you will be able to achieve a lot more because you're relaxed. Because many people think unless you're stressed out, unless you're under pressure, only then you will perform, which I think is absolutely wrong, because you're doing a disservice to your health.
Yes.
And your health is something that you shouldn't play around with. So Jackie, thank you very much for giving us all those very doable things, because when we talk to people about, especially healthcare professionals, they go very deep into technicalities, which turns us off. And now you come here and you're saying, you know what, start with the small things, start with the little things, because they make a big difference.
And
So
yes,
thank you very much. Yeah.
oh, thank you. And I'm going to try to remember to put on the comments my newsletter. I do a newsletter every month, so you can
Okay.
just kind of subscribe to that, and you get a free morning stretch video, which is
Oh, that's good.
really, really nice to be able to stretch in the morning just in the bed. You don't have to get out of bed. You can even just stretch in the bed, but it shows you how to do a stretch. So I'll put that link on there for my newsletter. So anybody,
Excellent. Yeah, you know something, the stretch in the bed would be highly recommended for us here in the UAE, because right now the temperatures are above 35 degrees in the morning, and by the time we reach afternoon, it's close to 44. So
yes.
there's absolutely no way that we can go out and enjoy nature.
Well,
So I
maybe
think the stretch in the bed is the best.
awesome. Okay. Well, so nice being with you, Sandy.
Thank you very much. And for all those people who don't know, Jackie was my first guest on Ignite with Sandy, and it was a total fiasco. And and I said to Sonia the other day, I said, we've been doing Ignite with Sandy quite successfully now, and it's time to bring Jackie back because she was the first speaker, our first speaker, and you were so good about it. You were so relaxed and said, "Oh, don't worry, we can do it this way." And you tried everything, but the universe wasn't there at that time to support us, and now here we are. You've done a fabulous job in sharing so much with us. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, Jackie.
And guess
And for
what?
all,
We're gonna dance our way out. We're gonna do
oh, okay,
dancing. So I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
not really, but it's okay. Why don't you stand up and dance for us? Okay.
Woo! We're doing some salsa right now. Woo!
Yeah,
So we're decreasing our cortisol level right now.
exactly.
Woo! I'll put the link in there too. Bye
All
bye.
right, darling. Take care. God bless. All the best. And from us here at Celestia and Ignite with Sandy, thank you very much for joining us. We will be having a video on our Celestial channel on YouTube. And so please do click on that and leave us some nice comments, especially as you can see Jackie still dancing up there. And till next time, enjoy and God bless from all of us. Take care.